Hello, Internet. How are you
Hi,
doing?
Internet. Oh, wait.
What? No,
What?
that was good.
Okay.
Okay, but we're going now. This is the actual podcast.
Okay. We're
I'm
podcasting.
I'm even gonna put this in the recording, not just the live video.
We're podcasting.
Derek's back,
Hey,
everybody.
I am. Welcome to Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that made people mad online this week and explain why they're done for caring. I am back after a, 2-month hiatus?
8 week, 8 episode
Yeah,
hiatus.
something like that.
You're
I
exploded back.
My back is still exploded. I'm coming to you all live from my living room floor if you're watching on the live stream. But I figured if this is going to be basically my reality, I've been bounced around the public medical system for the past 2 months, and it could be another 2 to 3 months before I get surgery. So this is where I'm at.
Derek, don't lie. You're just laying down so you have a better angle with the low camera,
It's
so
true.
that you look.
Look at this angle.
Yeah.
Huh?
So it makes accentuates your strong jaw.
No,
Look at
you
that
always want
jaw.
to lift the camera.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
you
but
want to go from
higher
up
up.
top?
like
Yeah,
me, so you can see how big my forehead is.
Yes, you never want to look down on it. That's how you get the double chin.
Oh, that's a
okay.
good point.
All right.
Yeah.
And our cosmetic advice and camera placement, that's Kristyl. She joins
Hello.
us. You might recognize her words from Valleymom.ca. And you don't have your own podcast, do you? No, I don't.
No, not yet.
You
No,
do-
yeah, this could be the impetus for it.
It
Yeah.
could be. Yeah.
If you do good, you might just get hooked on podding. It's very addictive.
Yeah. Well, you know me and my addictive nature. We'll see.
Yeah. I hope I didn't open Pandora's box for anything. Well, at
Yeah.
least this is a productive addiction. At least
Yeah.
Debatable.
it's not going to
Allegedly productive. Well,
Yeah.
have you seen
Yeah.
some of the podcasters out there?
Is that how you hurt your back from carrying this podcast, Eric?
Yeah. Heyo.
Zing.
Uh,
Yeah.
I only just started listening to podcasts like a year ago because I couldn't even figure out how to access them. Like, how do you listen to a podcast? I don't
What?
get it.
are these
Yeah.
things?
Yeah.
I started like 10 years ago only because I kept seeing like podcasts on the internet, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And then I researched it, and then I started listening to it then. And then I think I took like a 3 or 4 year break just because I didn't have time. And now I listen to them while I'm at work. So like I'll
Like,
be
how do you listen to
doing
a
stuff with my hands, and then like I'll have like need some like motivate or like mental something to keep me occupied mentally, so I'll listen to them while I'm like grinding stuff at work, stuff like that.
Grinding stuff.
No.
Eh?
Yeah, there you go.
My mind went there. I was like, really?
Grinding metal,
Yeah.
not like the
Not
Max
men.
dance floor back in college, eh, Kristyl?
The max.
before we started recording, me and Kristyl were reminiscing on
Yeah.
living in Kamloops and going to college 20 years ago. And we haven't decided if we miss Kamloops or miss just 20 years ago.
Yeah, Kamloops had the best nightlife, surprisingly. Like, I was
Yeah.
not expecting that. I thought
Mhm.
maybe like one nightclub and one dive bar, but there were so many. It's so many good memories from that place. I
Yeah,
remember
I-
there was one, and it was you'd get your nachos, and they had like buck beer, whatever it was. I think it was Rivers, and it was
Yeah.
karaoke. And then they're like, okay, now it's a nightclub. And they had the dancing.
So that's all. It's all three
Like
of
just
your
had the
most wants.
changeover in
Yeah.
one location.
They did. It was
Like,
great.
yeah, nachos, karaoke, and nightclub. What more could you want, really, from a night
Yeah.
out?
You didn't even have to change
No,
anything. Like change
Nothing.
location, change your outfit.
it was beautiful.
Oh yeah, Sam in the comments just said Cactus Jacks, but that was the country bar, and we didn't go there because we're cool kids, not country kids. Although it wasn't really a country bar; it was like a banging nightclub that played country music,
Hmm.
which is funny.
Was it there during my era?
Think so. Yeah, it was.
Tell us
Yeah, because it was there. It was there when you were there, but it was like because while we were in college, it moved from a smaller place to a bigger place,
about it.
and it was like it was funny because when you were there, it was like it had like neon cactuses literally on the wall. I guess that's why it was called Cactus Jacks and stuff.
Oh.
And then it was like inside was all like done up like an old barn. So it was like the red paneling with the white crisscross wood. It was pretty cheesy, but I guess all nightclubs were really cheesy.
Yeah.
True. That sounds on brand for Kamloops, though. That's like that's country and Western nation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now there's no nightclubs. It's all like Joseph Richards groups now. And well, I guess with COVID, you can't really go anyway, but Gabby's is gone and good old China Beat and all those places.
Yeah. So you guys are both parents. Now that I have you here, I want to talk about these one child billboards that have popped up in Vancouver.
That was a really shitty segue, Dale. Just wanted to call that out.
That really was.
Went from nightclubs and the famed Kamloops nightlife to children.
How many kids do you think were made after the nightclubs?
There you go. Better.
Yeah.
How many children named Max are out there owing to where they were conceived?
That's a good point. Yeah, so these billboards popped up all around. I'm just going to keep powering on. I know it's a shitty segue. I'm sorry. I'm just going to plow into it. So basically, I don't know if this is, I don't know if it has anything to do with the Greta Thunberg thing from a couple of years ago or last year when she said one of the ways to lower your carbon footprint was to only have one child because it reduces your carbon footprint by like 10,000 pounds or something. But there is these billboards and they basically have like pictures of parents with one kid and they say there's a bunch of various sayings, but they all allude to having one child for the benefit of the earth and that if you have more than one, you're being selfish. So,
my grandma would have been in trouble. She had 6.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think my grandma had 7 too, so.
Yeah, my grandparents had 7 and 9 respectively. So
wow. Yeah.
Prairie families.
That's a lot of families. Yeah, that was back in the day too. And you have 2, right, Kristyl?
I do. Yeah, and 2 dogs, which are babies. So
I don't know if there's if it has any like a sub clause of having 1 dog.
Yeah, what's the carbon footprint of hold on, I'm doing some research.
Okay, yeah, you
keep talking.
Research the carbon footprint of the dogs and see how much they take up. Also, maybe look up these billboards to see what they say because I only saw one and it said something just basically, it was pretty like vanilla. It was like, if you have more than 1 kid, you're being selfish. But I mean, for me, I would say maybe don't put these billboards in Vancouver because like Derek was saying, prairie families, like Vancouver families don't have a lot of kids on average. Like,
know your audience because if you're putting those in Vancouver, people in Vancouver live in 300 square foot bachelor suites. So you can only fit, unless you're stacking them in the closet, you can have 1 kid maximum in those. I think that would have done probably a lot better out in the valley where people have giant farm homes that they're just filling with children.
Or even Alberta. Sorry.
Were they just restricted to Vancouver?
No, they just started popping up in Vancouver because I think I think it's One Child Org or something like that is based out of Vancouver. But it's like, it's like everybody in Vancouver does have one. And it's like, you got to go to like, I mean, my sister has 4 and my brother has 4 kids, but my sister lives just outside of Edmonton and my little brother lives in Grindrod. And I don't even know who could afford to have 4 kids in Vancouver. That's a hefty price tag on that.
Oh God, we just got the bill. We're going to be doing braces for our oldest daughter. Ooh. And we just had that appointment today. And I'm like, oh, then we got 2 kids. It's just crazy. I couldn't imagine. I'd love to have a 3rd, but I could imagine we could never afford to have a 3rd child.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my nightmare is that Noah ends up needing braces because I can't think of anything more costly. To a parent. Okay, so some research here. Yeah. Do we know what the carbon footprint is for a child?
I think it's 10,000 pounds or kilograms.
Okay, and that's over a lifetime?
Yeah.
Okay. So according to one study, and they evaluated it by 3 different breeds. They did a Jack Russell Terrier, a Labrador Retriever, and a Saint Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Russell emits 600 metric kilograms.
Okay.
of carbon
over its lifetime.
over its lifetime.
Wait, that emits? Are they saying that it farts that much carbon, or is that just like?
I don't know if that's straight up farting. That's just like that's the carbon footprint of a Jack Russell Terrier.
It was just a weird way to say it. Like it emits that much.
That's the wording.
footprint.
I get what you're saying. The dog straight up farts 600 kilograms of carbon dioxide into the air. The Labrador Retriever is 1.6 metric tons, and the Saint Bernard is 2.3 metric tons.
Oh damn it! That really ramps up, eh?
Yeah.
So everybody get Jack Russells.
There you go.
Yeah.
We just fixed the environment.
Yeah. What are your dogs, Kristyl?
They are a mix of mini Aussie Cavalier, and the one also has miniature pincher in them.
Cute.
Okay, so they're like the Jack Russell size of like emitting 600 kilograms.
They're not.
Oh, yeah.
There's no Saint Bernard in there.
Yeah.
No. If I had the space, I would get one for sure. But yeah.
Yeah,
When I
so-
saw
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say when I saw the billboard and you're taken back first right away, I was like, "What is this? Some kind of joke?" But then you start really thinking about it, and I could see, like, I never thought in this day and age we'd be wearing masks, but I could see
That's
in
true.
like the next 20 years that this campaign actually does take. Not that everyone's gonna abide by it, and I don't think there'll ever be rules and regulations like in other countries where you see this happening.
Yeah,
But
like in China, where they famously had the one child thing.
Yeah, I was gonna
Exactly.
say, like, it'll never get to the point that China had it, and that didn't really work out too well for China. Like, it just all these other problems bubbled up that they never really anticipated happening. So they basically, it ended up being so problematic. They just had to get rid of the policy.
Yeah. But I could see more just being a societal, like a peer pressure thing.
Yeah, I
People
could
looking
definitely see
down.
that.
Especially, I don't see it being one, but more than two. And then we'd run into the same issues that China had too with picking gender and gender favoritism, which would be very unfortunate and scary. But you never know. Like, look at the world right now that we're living in. You just 20 years from now, it's climate change, and you don't know where it could change and go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like they put them in Vancouver because that would be the most sympathetic year that they're going to find. Like, if you're going to find people that you could peer pressure into only having one child because they feel bad about the earth, you're going to find those people in Vancouver.
Yeah, not in Abbotsford.
Yeah, definitely not in Abbotsford.
It's the perfect blend of being environmentally conscious and hating children. That's Vancouverites. That's the Venn diagram.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, I don't really like them, and I could save so much more money, so I'll do that.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm just doing a little bit of research to see if these things showed up anywhere else, but
yeah,
it looks like just Vancouver.
Okay. Yeah. Did you look up the company that put them up? Because I thought it was like onechild.org or something like that.
I did not. It is an environmental oneplanet.onechild.org.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and it's also, you got to get into like the other countries thing. It's like, because if we just all start having one kid here, then is like countries with super high populations like India and China, are they going to, well, China we already talked about. They probably won't ever go back to one child policy, but like India and what's like the third most populated country? Is it the
by
US?
Density or by total?
By total people. I think it's the US, like 300 million. Because I know India has over 1 billion, China has over 1 billion. How
There
much?
we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, United States is third.
Okay.
So, and watch, this is probably plot twist. This is actually some like black ops campaign by China to get Canadians and Americans to slow their breeding down so that they can just like walk in 20 years, have the same thing that that's happening in Japan right now. I actually saw a really interesting article. It's saying that in the next 50 years or something, the populations of China and Japan are expected to contract and actually like decline from where they are right now.
Oh, really? Like I could see Japan declining because they're having a huge problem where there's basically the kids aren't breeding right now. Like the they've gone past not having kids. They're not even like getting into marriages and stuff. They're just choosing to work and being like having like single lives where they live with their family, so they don't really need the support system of like a husband or wife because they live with their parents and then like maybe their brothers and sisters, and then they're all so close and online and stuff that they're having this huge problem with like it's weird because it's like they're so densely packed but everybody's kind of lonely in their own little rooms and stuff.
Yeah, they're all super isolating. Like apparently they're setting up incentive programs for like people to just go on dates, like
Oh, really?
mingle with people from the opposite sex. Because that's not happening anymore.
Oh, that'd be a good show. I'd
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
like super socially awkward dating in Japan.
Yes. This is totally off topic, but I just saw something in my feed, and it was there's this new thing where you get your photo. You set up a photo shoot on your blind date. I don't know if you came across this article. You go on
No.
a blind date with somebody and have a photographer follow you around. I'm like, how awkward would that be?
That would be amazing.
That would be
Yeah,
yeah.
I would
Because
watch that.
could you imagine if it was a terrible blind date
Right?
and
In
you
your
totally
face?
forget about it, and then
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess the pictures would be digital, so right away. I was
Yeah.
thinking more about like when you run in a marathon or whatever, and they take pictures of
Oh,
you,
you get
and
them
then
after?
like then a week later they're like, here's your pictures. So you go on this terrible date, and it's so
Yeah.
awkward, and then you just get all these pictures of you just like reliving your awkward dinner where you're like. It would actually kind of be funny because it would be like you'd like have you be eating your dinner, it'd be a photo from the side, and it's like you cracking this joke and think it's hilarious, and the other person just giving you this death glare.
Or you
Just,
go
like,
on
not being into it.
you go on a great date and they ghost you, and then a week later you get all these pictures, and it's just this reminder of the time you had your heart ripped from your chest and fed to you.
Oh.
That would actually be dope. I wonder
Yeah.
if people are just like playing the odds that like, hey, if we get married, these pictures will be really valuable.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be then you'll have your like meet cute on. Well, I guess blind dates don't count as meet cutes, do they?
What the fuck is a meet?
Derek.
What's a meet cute?
What? It's like when you meet someone cutely, like they're like, "Oh, we had a meet cute. We like
Oh.
ran into each other and dropped our stuff." You don't-
Nobody has ever said that word before.
I've never heard of a meet.
Oh,
I
right.
thought
Make
it like
this up?
literally meat, and it was cute. I'm like, oh.
thousands of people. Okay, I used to watch a lot of romantic comedies when I was single, so there was always meet cutes in those. That's all I'm going by.
Oh, it's on Wikipedia, so it must be true.
Yeah.
In film
you
and
go.
television, a meet cute is a scene in which the two people who will form a future romantic couple meet for the first time, typically under unusual, humorous, or cute circumstances.
There you
Oh.
go.
All right.
I.e., yeah. So if you're on a blind date and you have a meet cute, you'd be like, "Oh, remember our meet cute?" Huh? Like you're saying.
Well, I guess I met my husband at a really shitty dive karaoke bar, and it was my going away party to go to Kamloops for
Yeah.
the journalism program.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
what a
it was
time
like-
to meet someone when
I know,
you're
I'm like, I'm
leaving.
gonna
Yeah,
go
the going
away,
away.
and be single and date all these guys and have fun, and it's like, nope.
Yeah, I remember you went back. You would go back from like because we were in school in Kamloops, and you would go
Yeah.
back all the time to go hang out with your boyfriend, and we're
Like
all
every
like,
week. Well, it was my
super
fiance.
jealous.
We got
Yeah.
engaged
Oh
after
yeah.
4 months. Remember? That's when we-
Damn.
Oh
I was
yeah.
21, and I drove the Coquihalla in a really crappy little car with no radio and a broken windshield, and I did that every weekend.
No radio? Oh, that would have been
Nothing.
brutal. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was like we would always bug you, but secretly we were all jealous. We're like, oh, she already has a fiance. She doesn't have to date anymore. Oh, that'd be amazing. Because
That
it's
was
like,
the dream.
yeah, you think you love dating, and then you just realize that it's just a huge ordeal, and
Yeah.
it's very trying. Yep. I still
Tell
don't
us
have a
more
good
about your
segue.
thoughts on dating there, Dale.
Yeah.
Everybody knows my thoughts on dating, that it's a lot of work. And yeah. I mean, if dating was easy, the social media would be empty pretty much.
That's true.
Yeah.
I manage a dating site for somebody. I'm not going to say who. I'm like their dating manager. I almost
Oh,
feel like
really?
a catfish in a way.
Interesting.
And I try to find people, and there's nobody good out there.
No, there isn't. Especially,
It's rough.
like, I don't know who this is, but if they're like our age, like,
Is it a famous person?
No.
but if you're like, yeah, like if you're getting up to 40, it's like all the good ones are taken and all the other ones are like got some baggage from the old relationships.
Or if they're men, they want somebody 30 or younger, even if they're 70.
Yeah.
That's the cutoff, yeah.
Or they're like super desperate to start a family right away because they like had like wasted all their time, and they're like, I only have one shot at this. Now that I'm 40, I got to get kids right away.
Yeah.
It's funny. I still see. I'm a member of a couple dating groups on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's mostly just women talking about how shitty men are. But I'm like surprised by the number of. They'll talk about men like in between 40 and 50 who are still like refusing to settle down or not looking for anything serious. And I'm like, shitty for those dudes, because once they hit 50 and they're like, oh, I want the one child I'm permitted by law, so let's go out there and make it. And there are biological clocks for men as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being 50 and not like my whole plan is to have a kid like pretty quick, and then by the time I'm 50, I won't care because I'll just be involved in the kid's life, so I won't have to worry about what I'm doing. I'll just be like, well, the kid's got to do this, he's got to go to like sports, and he's got to do school, and then I don't have to worry about like if I'm being productive or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what parenthood's right.
100%.
Yeah, basically. Plus, the one thing I wish people would have fucking told me about having a kid later in life is like, you need to have the energy to keep up with a child. Like, I had Noah when I was 34. And it's just fucking sucked every step of the way because there's this 6-year-old with boundless energy, and all I want to do is nap on the couch most of the time. So this injury has actually been a huge blessing in that I literally cannot move. So.
Yeah, he can't make you do anything because you're like, Dad's injured. I got to lay on the couch.
Yeah. Mine are at that sweet spot right now. They're 9 and 11, where they just, my 11-year-old babysits now. She's taken the course. So if I want to run off and do something, and they're totally self-sufficient. They get themselves dressed, brush their teeth. They've started cooking, and they love watching horror movies. That's a big thing. So it's like we all are into the same stuff. It's like having extra friends, and we hang out. It's so much
friends
fun.
that are legally obligated to spend time with you.
I legitimately have fun with them. I've been showing them all like 80s horror movies and comedies, and never like Flight of the Navigator and
that movie's so fucking good. So good.
They love them. Elvira, we watched that last weekend.
That's good stuff. Nice. Yeah, like, I guess that's one of the good things about kids is you show them all the stuff you loved, and then when they love it, you're like, oh, it holds up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or like, they go the other way and they just hate everything that you love because they hate you and they want to rebel against you. So they like the like polar opposite shit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying mine does that, but it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah.
Is this the awkward moment where you just start breaking down because your child doesn't like you?
Yeah.
How old is your child?
He's 6 years old. So basically, he likes like fucking Paw Patrol and Lego at this point, which the Lego I can get behind. Oh yeah, and he's a huge YouTube. Like it's
what
scary
are those the ninja guys the ninja hackers? The spin ninjas?
Spy ninjas?
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. Oh man, he was just throwing Derek's kid under the bus, but he was like, Dale, you got to see this. He didn't say Dale, but there was a couple of us in the room. He's like, you got to see this fight scene. So he shows us this YouTube fight scene from Spy Ninjas, and it was just, we got to get you into like Power Rangers because this is even worse than that. Like, I remember just being like, it looked like people who make YouTube content doing fake fighting, and it was so obviously fake. But the other fighting on YouTube is actual real fighting, and you don't really want your kids watching that.
Kristyl, how much YouTube do you permit your kids to watch?
See, I hate YouTube so much. It's these creepy, like, middle-aged women and men, and they're like, oh, look at my doll and blah, blah, blah. It's so, I hate it. And their voices annoy me. And I'm like, why can't you guys just watch real TV? Like, watch cartoons. And they don't.
Like we used to.
Yeah, they just want to watch that. And I'm like, no more screens. Watch TV. I'm like, watch TV instead. It's better for you.
That doesn't count as a screen anymore.
Yeah. You have to be organic and go back to the old-fashioned organic TV screen instead
There's no
of computer screens.
Saturday morning cartoons or anything anymore. It's just these creepy people in their mid-40s playing with dolls.
It's weird. They are making millions of dollars to do
know.
that,
Maybe I should
which is the most absurd thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on Ryan's World or whatever.
Yeah. Or they love Roblox. That's their huge thing.
Oh, yeah. Noah's big into that, too.
Yeah. Do they play the video game or do they just watch videos of it?
They play it, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're huge into that.
Yeah.
But no, I'm always having to regulate it because it's crack. Like, they would stay on it 24/7. I'm like, okay, give it to me. Just one sec. I just got to do this. I'm like, give it to me.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. Like, when I was a kid, I used to get up because when I was really young, we had cable for a bit because it was left over from the people who lived in the house before us.
Yeah.
And I would get up at like 4 a.m. on Saturday and watch like the East Coast cartoons. And it would start then. And I couldn't even imagine of how bad I would have been if it was like on demand, if I could have just watched it whenever I wanted. Because, back then it was self-regulating because it would start at like whatever time you got up, but then it would be over by noon because like old person television would start and then there'd be no more cartoons. So it was like
what is old person just like fishing shows and
that's
golf?
exactly what it was, like fishing
MASH.
and then golf and MASH.
MASH is a definite old person show.
My older brother loved MASH. I hated it the whole time.
I hated it so much.
Yeah, when you only have 2 channels and there's a show on that you kind of just don't even like, by the end of your childhood you just hate that show, and that was MASH.
That was Star Trek and MASH for me.
I hate Star Trek.
I hate it.
Show's over.
We're gonna have a talk here.
I've been watching Star Trek the original series because it's like the last one I haven't watched and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, this is so good. It's just like so old and cheesy and in space. But it was like, if it wasn't set in space, I wouldn't like it at all because it would just be like a cheesy, like weird drama.
Yeah. And do you remember at midnight, you would just get those lines, like you'd be babysitting and all of a sudden it's like, nope, no more TV for you. And the lines would come on.
Oh yeah. And then they'd have the flag and the national anthem would play.
And it was so scary. And you're like, but the parents aren't home for 2 more hours. What am I going to do? So you start searching through their drawers.
Yeah. Looking for VHS tapes.
Yeah.
That with like cartoons or something on them.
Or something.
Yeah. Hope you don't find a bad one.
Yeah. Homemade pornos.
Oh. Never found those.
Or even worse, just like 80s pornos.
Oh, I've seen that. Well, no, I haven't, you know what I mean. No, I remember being a kid and coming across those at a friend's parents' house. And we're like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
That's disgusting.
Her dad's that's funny.
I used to know someone who worked at a video store and they would tell us about all the parents that rent porn.
Really?
So-and-so's dad came in and rented this.
Oh yeah, that's no bueno. You gotta like go to a city where you don't know anybody, because if you now, I guess society's more accepting of people's like kinks and stuff. But when we were like 20 years ago, there was, if you were into anything slightly off kilter, like the whole world would find out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, definitely in like town like Salmon Arm.
Yeah. Kristyl, where did you grow up in? Here?
Mostly the Lower Mainland, so like Langley, Surrey. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, that's good because it's big enough that you could just drive to a different city to get your porno. Like if you're in Langley, you could go to Abbotsford or but yeah, like me and Derek grew up in tiny towns in the interior, and just everybody knew what was going on.
That was a big selling feature for homes in Langley. They would always add it to the real estate listing. It's like, just drive to a different town to get your porno. It's close enough.
They had the porno shops listed by distance from the house.
So Derek,
Yeah.
when you knew Dale like in his 20s, was that around when he used to have a phone cord in his pocket because he was all ironic and hipster before hipsters were a thing?
Yeah, that was
Remember that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
That
that.
old counterculture Dale.
Yeah.
And
He
now
was
I'm
a
just
hipster before
boring.
hipsters were cool.
And
It's
now,
true.
Dale, yeah, now you've gone like full on normcore. It's like I saw pictures of you the other day, and I'm like, this guy looks like he should always be wearing Crocs. Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like never takes the Crocs off his feet.
But I don't wear Crocs. I wear dad flops, which are strapped sandals. But yeah, no, like a couple of years ago, I was just like, you know what? This comfort thing, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
It really is. It really is. I used to be all about the going out and like the huge stiletto shoes and really tight jeans, and now I put them on and I feel like I'm gonna die. And I'm like, nope,
Oh, yeah.
runners are going back on.
Well, and you think like COVID especially has just like completely dropped a bomb on people giving a shit what they look like.
Oh,
'Cause,
exactly.
like,
Oh, dude.
everyone's just been wearing sweatpants for the past 4 or 5 months.
COVID was
Yeah.
my death knell. I won't even gel my hair if I'm going out anymore. It's just like I wake up, I put on clothes, and that's what you get.
Yeah. Well, I
I
just got
mean-
my eyebrows. If they look really big right now, I just got them re-tattooed like 2 days ago.
Okay.
But I'm like, now when you wear
Re-tattooed?
the mask, they're like quite prominent. You don't see the whole face.
Wait,
Do
how
you
often
find?
do you...
Sorry, you go.
No,
No, you
Dale.
go.
No, Dale, you go, Dale.
No, because you're gonna ask a question about her eyebrows. I'm gonna
I
ask
was
a different question.
specifically going to ask, like, how often do you have to get them re-tattooed?
This one, well, I used to get something called microbladed, and it's like where they are literally scratching the surface of your skin, like cutting into your skin and filling it with pigment. And that only lasts, it's a superficial scratch, so it lasts about 6 months. These are powder brows, so it's supposed to last about 2 years.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
'Cause I had 90s brows where I like plucked them so thin they were like little lines, like Drew Barrymore, that they just never grew back. So I usually have to do makeup. So now I can just wake up and it's like brows.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like my question was when you're wearing a mask, do you like notice that you have to like over accentuate your expressions so people know what you're talking about, or like
Well, yeah, especially I just got Botox for the first time too around my eyes. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I have nothing to offer you. Like,
it just doesn't move? You're like, I got a
it
mask.
doesn't move.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm really smiling here. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've noticed like I'll be like walking and someone will like be like, hey, and I'll be like, and then it's
Yeah.
like, dude, and like my eyebrows don't move. Like the only way you could tell I'm saying hi is I move my whole head. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
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 So now it's like with masks, it's like I guess you could do that, but it's just like you're like, do people think I'm angry all the time, or
Yeah.
yeah.
In a way, it's kind of nice because I feel like I'm hidden and I'm kind of not really a sociable person when I'm out. And it kind of gives you that extra, just cuts
Yeah.
you off from the world and you don't have to make small talk and you can just go in and do your thing and get out.
Yeah, nobody recognizes you. Nobody's trying to talk. Like, it's just awkward to have a conversation through masks now,
It's
too.
the
Have you noticed
worst.
that? It's like,
Yeah.
It totally is.
I love the just like awkwardly, like when you see someone, you're like, hey, and then you just leave. Because of COVID, you're like, well, we can't talk. We can't
COVID.
be close to
Yeah.
each other. And then you're just like it's funny because in the story, like you're just avoiding everybody. And it was like, if you did that before, it was so awkward just because of
Yeah.
like, yeah.
If you were single, how would you hit on somebody at the bar now? Like, that's the story I want to read.
I mean, why the fuck would you be at a bar in the first place?
Well, that's true.
I mean, if you're in Florida, they're kind of recommending it right now.
Yeah.
Florida,
Oh,
yeah.
Dale,
There's
there's
a
a
good
segue.
segue.
See,
There you
There
go.
you go,
I got
buddy.
it back.
You did it.
Got it.
All right, you want to jump into this?
Okay, so at first, when I was planning on what we were going to talk about this week, I just put that the governor of Florida just wants to open everything up in Florida because I don't know, he's a crazy person and he just either doesn't think COVID's real or he just cares about the economy so much. But then he one-upped himself by saying that he wants to legislate people in colleges basically being able to have a college life because he was saying that it's so important that they like go do their parties and go to the classes and all hang out so that they get like a normal, well-adjusted college life, that he's basically telling colleges that they're not allowed to reprimand students for not following COVID restrictions anymore. How do you think this is going to play? Like,
yeah, that very much sounds like Florida.
Yeah, Florida already has 633,000 cases, which is like 4 times as much as Canada.
Well, it also happened with one, so that's what makes it so scary. And they decided to do this because rates had gone down so much, but everybody had their masks on and all this protocol was into place. So it's going to be bad.
Yeah, and Florida, like Georgia. Oh no, wait, but like the Florida, Georgia part, that's like almost the worst part of the country because that's where everybody's like, well, if you go to the beach, the sand gets rid of COVID. And you're like, what? No, it doesn't.
It's like that deadly blend of absolutely no education and not following any public health measures at all.
Oh, and the worst part was the governor found a Harvard University prof, and this is what this guy said. His name is Martin Kudolf. He said, universities should operate almost normally, except that older professors should teach classes online and that teaching assistants could appear in person to help students. He also maintained that as a matter of policy, college students shouldn't be tested for COVID-19 because they are young and won't succumb to the virus. Like, he doesn't even want them to be tested. And this is a guy from Harvard.
That's also true for college students and STDs. So if you're listening to this and you're in college, you do not have to get tested for anything.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear.
And he was, like, further in the article, he goes forward to saying that he doesn't even think they should be self-quarantining because they'll get sad if they're lonely in college. It's like, what? Are these these are supposed to be adults and you're treating them like less of kids, like you don't want them to be alone because they'll get sad, avoiding a deadly virus?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's beyond. So I guess we'll just kind of wait and see what happens in Florida.
When you see, you read all these stories about all these college kids that are still partying, and then you look down on it, but then I try to think back to our 20s. Would we have been following rules, or would we be these crazy kids?
No. Fuck.
Right?
I can conclusively say it.
I would have I would definitely have given up by now. But I think when I was in college age, at first I wouldn't have gone to bars and stuff, and I would have taken it easy for a month, and then I would have that thing where it's like, well, nothing's happened so far, so we're good. I want to pretend I'd be better than these college students, but I know I wouldn't.
Well, especially if you're living in a dorm and you're not visiting your family, that would make it hard too. You're away from, and you're like, well, I'm not seeing anyone. I'm not working. I'm not seeing my grandparents for another 4 months. And that's probably the mentality a lot of them have. We're all together, and that becomes your new family.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You'd find so many different ways to justify it. You'd be like, well, I'm only hanging out with young people, and we're not getting it that bad. And then if I get sick, I'll just not talk to people then. And then, not even thinking about asymptomatic people and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your brain's, I think it's 24 when your frontal lobe is fully developed. You don't even have that chip in your brain that tells you that regulates that behavior, right? That maturity chip.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be the guy, but I don't think even at 24 I was fully mature. I still feel like maybe my frontal lobe will continue growing, because
44 is going to be the year for you, buddy.
I feel like there's a point where I'm like, I feel like I should be more mature than I am, and just be more whatever obscure impression you had of an adult when you were a kid. I just feel like I haven't reached that point yet.
I don't think it ever comes. I think that's just a lie. When I'm with all the other moms at the school, I look at them, I'm like, they're like real parents, and I look to them for advice. I'm like, I don't feel like a real mom.
Yeah, I feel that. Although I don't think, I just assume now that everyone is completely full of shit and nobody really has anything figured out at all. We're all just, some people are better at pretending than others.
Yeah, I think so.
Like Dale pretending to be on the podcast right now. Dale, what are you doing?
Sorry, I just realized I made a typo in the title of this podcast episode, and it was bugging me. So I was going to see if I could edit it, but I don't think I can. So
it's also really interesting to see, you look at the numbers in Florida, and then you look at the numbers here in BC, or even general in Canada. We hit what was it, 700 new cases in Ontario or something, and people are freaking the fuck out. And you look at Florida, and it's like, a few thousand or many thousands of new cases a day, and they're not concerned at all.
Yeah.
And we're like 700 cases, like put everything back into lockdown. It's just interesting to see the difference in how we're taking it culturally versus Americans are.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Like how even like we had 100 cases, and you're like lock everything down. Like Trudeau was like, okay, the second wave is going to be starting. We're going to have to all buckle down and all this stuff. And then the states were like, well, let's open everything up.
Yeah. Do you think that'll be us 6 months from now?
I think yeah. I think we'll be fully opened up within 6 months. I hope we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so long. On
What's
one hand,
6 months from now? Fucking February?
Yeah, but that's flu season.
March, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then they said that if you get the flu and COVID at the same time, it's like double death. Like you're for sure.
You'll die twice.
Yeah, there's no helping you.
Yeah. I had Norwalk, and that was brutal.
Oh.
That was the worst. I lost 10 pounds in one night. Like, it was bad.
Oh, wow.
Did you get it from a cruise ship?
No, I have no idea where I got it from, but it was the worst thing I've ever had. And I had a toddler running around and a baby in the crib, and Jason was working late downtown at work, and he couldn't get off, and I couldn't help the kids. They're both screaming. It was horrible. So bad.
Did your kids get sick too, or was it just you?
They both ended up getting sick, but a very mild version, like they always do. Just like they're seeing kids with COVID. But it was like I probably should have gone to the hospital that night. Looking back at it, like it was so bad.
Yeah, I think when I lived in Kamloops 10 years ago, I had H1N1. Like I didn't like excuse me, lose 10 pounds like you did, but it was the first time I had ever been like bedridden, and I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. And it's like, I can't even imagine getting this and just being like super duper sick.
Yeah. Even though the mild cases, everyone's like, I was like fucked up and totally out of commission for 11 days or something. So world's hardest pass on that.
Yeah, exactly.
My cousin's wife and daughter, they both 100% believe they had it. It was right in February, but it wasn't really known like that it was local that much. It was more talking about in China, and they didn't really know about any local cases. And they both, the daughter ended up on the ventilator. And to this day, I went to the drive-in with her, and she's had the cough. Like, she still has the cough. She's not sick anymore.
Yeah, shit.
Messed her up. And then she's young and healthy in her 40s, and she coughed the entire movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like I've heard somewhere that like there's people who had it that are complaining about how they still have fatigue.
Yeah. That would be rough. You just coughed, didn't you? Oh, you got Is that
Jinxed me.
Dale.
I think I got COVID from this podcast. No,
yeah.
I don't know what happened. I think it's because I stopped drinking. If I don't drink water constantly while I'm talking, my throat dries out.
That's a COVID symptom. Sorry, you got it.
That's having a sexy voice symptom.
You guys had the COVID test?
No, I haven't.
I had it a couple weeks ago, so I thought it was worse than childbirth, and I've had 2 kids,
really?
No drugs. I hated it. I hated it.
Damn.
Is that horrible. The one where they stick it up your nose?
They swab the back of your skull, pretty much. Don't they?
It's like they stick a pencil and they shove it into your brain cavity, and then you think they're gonna quickly pull it out, but no. She goes, now we're gonna do 5 swipes, and it's like,
what?
Oh, it's bad. I hated it.
Oh, like
and
they're like,
I just had a cough from the smoke.
Oh no,
the fires.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we now that we've got this in here, we're just gonna tickle those little folds in your brain.
Yeah, they're like, you should have washed your hands, lady. You should have been more careful.
They're like, we got to make sure we get in the crease sample.
Yeah.
I've heard bad things about it personally. I've never had it because I was because at first they were like pretty much not giving it to anybody unless you had like were old or had like big like specific symptoms.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, and then I've never been sick enough to get one. I kind of want to get one just to like, because it's like, you know how everybody thinks they had it at one point, so they could do the test to see if you have those like things left in your blood that you did have it. So I kind of want to see if I did at one point have it or not. But I mean, I don't know if I don't think I did.
Well, the COVID test that I did, it doesn't tell you if you had it, only if you have it.
Oh,
like
okay.
currently. Like it's not an antibody test.
No, I think you'd have to do a blood test for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the antibody one. That's what I was trying to think.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get the nose one for shits and giggles. No, it's horrible. I know a former cokehead who said it was just great because she has no, like, nothing up there, right? So it was all hollow.
Yeah.
It was like a hot dog down the hallway up her nose.
Yeah, there's no resistance there. Like maybe
None.
you just, yeah. So maybe before you go get a COVID test, just do a whole bunch of Coke and melt
There
the
you
little
go.
thingy in your brain, and then you don't have to like go through a membrane or anything.
Yeah.
I wonder if, because I've used the neti pot a lot, I wonder if that would help it like not be as bad, or if that would even help against the COVID. Because when they do the test, are they like swabbing your sinus cavity?
Oh yeah, like it feels like it's in your brain. It's just the gross. Even just talking about it, I can feel it. I can feel it right now. I'm like, oh, I want to gag.
That triggers my gag reflex a little bit thinking
It's
about it.
horrible.
Like,
And my daughter had it, and she's 10.
Yeah.
And she said it was a little uncomfortable, but she was fine. But I think they're more gentle with kids. And maybe I just had a really rough lady. Because I like to think I'm pretty tough. And she just went right in there. And after she pulled it out, I'm like, that was horrible. Like, that was so bad.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, was it? I got to go back in. Maybe she's just jealous of your blog. She's like, I seen all the stuff you get to do with your little adventures and stuff. And I'm going to make this hurt.
Blog about this, bitch.
Yeah.
yeah, she wanted to make sure she made the blog.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I want to leave a lasting impression.
It got weird and quiet now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those awkward silences. You just see the thing you got to do with awkward silences is you just convince yourself you love them. And then when they hit you, you're just like, ah, yeah. And then you just like accept them and love them. And then they won't be as bad.
Extend them for as long as possible.
Oh man, could you imagine new podcast idea, just like Awkward Pause Factory, where we just like I'll just like start a question and I'll stop, and then it'll just be like a podcast of awkward pauses. It'll be like kind of like the gateway drug for socially awkward people. So it's like it kind of gets them like almost comfortable, but it's like, oh, I recognize this being awkward.
I can just show them my eye. Just make it dance.
Yeah, there you go. That's great for all the people who only listen to this. Well, if you only listening to this, Kristyl has, I don't even know how to explain it. What is it? Just like your eyelid quivers?
It's called Marcus gun jaw wink, and one of the nerves is like wired somehow to my brain. It's like a really random birth defect. Apparently only like 1% of the population have it. And so every time I move my jaw to like talk or chew gum, my eye dances, my left eye.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And I'd never known anybody my entire life, but through social media, because I posted about it and I did a hashtag. Yeah. And then I started getting like people from all over the world that would message me, like a lot of parents being like, my baby has this, should I have the surgery? And they cut into your brain to get this. Like they sew your eye open, so it's like sewn like that for like a month. But it's part of the surgery.
Wait,
and
what? They sew it open for a month?
Sew it open, yeah. It's part of the healing.
Like what? Permanently? Like you can't? No. How do you sleep?
Well, permanently, yeah, for a couple months. I guess they put a cotton ball on it or something. But I'm like, I'm just gonna keep my
even drier.
Right? Who doesn't want a wonky eye?
Oh, okay. You know how you were talking about having like the COVID test and it making you gag? Like having my eyeball like sewn open is making my eyes water so bad. And then the cotton ball thing, I'm just like, oh.
Right?
I'm like gonna cry on the podcast for the
We're
first
gonna we're gonna have to put a trigger warning on this one. I think
We
it's like
are.
extreme physical discomfort.
It'll be like awkward silences and awkward physical discomfort.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. I'm just gonna go with another ham-fisted segue because
Dale,
I don't know how.
You're better than that.
I don't know how to link having your eyes sewn open to smoking cigarettes.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I guess what like when you were smoking, sometimes you get like cigarette smoke in your eye, and that hurt. And having your eye sewn open for a month
no.
would hurt.
Just go.
Okay.
What about this news article is kind of eye raising, eyebrow raising?
Ah, there you go.
You're hired.
You're the new host of the podcast. Now you lead. But yeah, the head guy over at Marlboro thinks that they will not sell cigarettes in 15 years, and but they'll still have nicotine products. Like he's thinking they'll go to smokeless, like or vapes, or I guess like nicotine gum, or
yeah.
stuff
Like I don't
that.
think the story here is that like nicotine addiction is going to be a thing of the past. I think it's just more that like the market has demanded maybe ways that smell less shitty or are less cancer causing allegedly.
Oh yeah. And I think too with like from the wild smoke fire that we had, or the smoke that we had for like that week and a half or whatever, and how hard that was on our lungs. Like if that's what we're looking at going forward, you don't want to put like any sort of cigarette smoke or anything in your lungs. Like we're gonna have to deal with just like poopy air in the world, so you don't want to add cigarette smoke on top of that.
Yeah, and just the societal thing too. Like I don't think I know anybody who smokes anymore. I know maybe one person and people who vape, but
I quit smoking a couple of years ago, and even like I felt like I was one of the last smokers in Vancouver, and like everywhere I go, people were like, you know, giving me looks or like, you know, smokers was like one of those classes of citizens that everyone felt totally empowered to just shit all over all the time.
Yeah.
Like you could absolutely shame them for their choices. So
yeah, it's even worse now. Like I remember like I used to smoke, so when I was smoking, it was still like in bars and in restaurants and in Denny's you could smoke. And then it was like, okay, you can't smoke indoors. You got to go to like the smoking room. Then you got to go outside. And now it's like, okay, get 20 feet away from the door. Just if I could see you smoking, you're too close. Just keep going.
Be at least 10 meters from another human being.
Yeah. We don't want to see you and your horrible life choices. Get out of here. Yeah, like at work, there's a couple people who smoke it. It's just so foreign to like see people with a cigarette in their hand now.
Yeah, it's weird.
Dale, you work in the trades. Are there a lot of guys who smoke at your shop?
At my shop, there is. I think there's two. Yeah, there's the weird thing. Well, there was an older guy who smoked, but then he had a heart attack, so he had to quit smoking. There's something you see like 50-year-old guy had a heart attack, so now he like eats salad and doesn't smoke. But there's like two guys in their 20s, like late 20s, that still smoke, and you're like, you just have no idea.
Late 20s?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like I think I quit when I was 26. Well, I quit the first time when I was 24, and then I quit for good when I was 26. So it's like you see people that old, and you're like, you should probably know better. And the one guy goes to the gym and works out and stuff. It's like, doesn't that F up your like running and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I never got into. But I grew up, well, I guess you guys did too, in the era where in the 80s, and like my parents would both be smoking, and windows rolled up, and that was just the way it was.
Yeah.
My grandparents, everybody. It was so disgusting.
It's wild to think that you used to be able to just fucking smoke on airplanes. Like that's the thing that blows my mind.
That's the crazy one is airplanes, is because it's like it was recycling and there's no way to get away from it. And it's like
so gross.
Like just imagine right now, like I used to be a smoker, and if somebody lit a cigarette on the airplane, I would have like a complete like confrontation meltdown. I can't even imagine how people were just like, wow, that's what we do. We smoke around each other now. And in like restaurants and stuff where you just like the person beside you would just be smoking while you're eating.
Like, how did non-smokers deal with that shit?
Yeah, exactly. I guess they just didn't feel empowered to speak up for themselves because so many people were smoking.
Well, I remember just going to the bar in my early 20s and you would just reek and you'd have to throw your clothes in
Yeah.
the hamper right away and they just stunk so bad, like cigarette smoke.
Yeah, and like I know a lot of girls had to like have a shower when they got home because their hair would smell like cigarettes. And like I was smoking in there. I remember like being on the dance floor with like a drink and a smoke.
Yeah.
And then you like bump into somebody.
Spill your
Yeah.
drink on your smoke, and then you got to start all over again.
Then you're like, oh, I gotta go find a lighter. I gotta get off the dance floor.
I wanted to hear more about these girls that had to have a shower after their
Yeah, Dale, do tell.
They were just friends, girls that were friends.
Oh.
And like they would just be like, oh, I gotta have a shower when I get home from the bar because it smells like because my hair smells like smoke and then I can't sleep. And it's like think about
Wow.
it. You're like, yeah, that would.
True. It was so strong.
Yeah, I was like, even as a smoker, I was like, oh, I gotta take this shirt off and like throw it in the hamper, like you said, just so you didn't smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the weird thing was like, as I was quitting smoking, there was the people who like you could tell they smoked in their house and people who only smoked outdoors because the people who smoke in their house just like reek of it all the time. And then people who smoke outdoors kind of smell like it.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, at least we're moving away from that. I don't know if vapes are necessarily any better, but
I heard vapes were super bad with COVID. Like kids who vape a lot were like having a lot of problems with COVID, but that's just kind of like anecdotal evidence you hear.
well, yeah, I remember there was something like in early days of COVID where it was coming out, and they actually were like, they did some studies because they thought that nicotine might actually protect you against it because it's just
Oh yeah.
like,
Wasn't Marlboro like gonna do like fund a nicotine based COVID vaccine or something?
something like that, yeah. Where it's just, I think the premise was that like nicotine fucked up your body so bad that when it attacked itself, it was pretty much ineffective. But I actually don't know what came of that.
I think it just quietly went away when they realized how dumb of an idea it was. They're like, this is never gonna work. Yeah, because they were talking about how somehow the nicotine would cause your lungs to like, because the way COVID works is like, so you've seen the pictures of the balls with the little thingies out. Apparently that like goes in your lungs and hooks on the side. So I guess they thought if you had nicotine, it wouldn't hook onto the sides and you would just like expel it without it like infecting you. I'm a scientist.
Sounds about right.
That's sorry to speak science jargon with you guys. I could put it in layman's terms.
That's my tiny non-scientist brain could not comprehend any of that.
Don't worry, Derek. It is a pretty hard subject to master.
Thanks, Dale. Thank you.
Oh, speaking of other speaking of adverse health effects from stuff you eat. Oh, I mean Halloween's coming up, so maybe don't let your kids eat all the black licorice. Are you guys doing Halloween with your kids?
I mean, I'll do it in that he can dress in like a costume. I don't know. I'll probably just buy a fucking bag of candy from the store and eat that. I don't know. Is anyone doing trick-or-treating this year? Do we feel comfortable doing that?
Because they kind of said they weren't doing it, and then they're like, okay, you could trick-or-treat, but distance. And it's like, I wouldn't want my kids touching, like, getting, like we spent, like, what, 6 months not touching things and hand sanding, and then you just want to spread candy around?
Yeah. No, I've been in different mom groups asking too, because I didn't want to be the one mom who wasn't doing it or the one mom that was. And it looks like most aren't. So it's going to be pretty quiet out there. And a lot are just doing like little home parties. So I think we're just going to have like 2 friends or family members from our bubble. And we're going to do like an old school 80s like haunted house where you put your hands in like the noodles and like, you know what I mean? They blindfold into the eyeballs of the olives. And then we're going to hide candy around the house. and
Ooh.
probably freak the kids out and then watch some scary movies and just do that. Halloween is my Christmas. I love Halloween.
Yeah,
So I want to make it fun.
I love all, like, it's weird because I love all the images and stuff, like all the spooky stuff, but I don't really like, I don't know. It is really fun, but like on the other hand, it's like, I guess when I was a kid I loved trick or treating and stuff, but like now I'm kind of like, every time someone's like, "Hey, do you want to go do this?" I'm like, I don't really want to go to a party on Halloween and like have to dress up and stuff.
He's
But
like that about most things. It doesn't matter what you ask him or when you ask
Yeah.
him. It's do I have to? I'd rather just
yeah.
stay at home in my underwear.
Did you guys see about this haunted corn maze though?
I went to it. I went to the media night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is it
I was there last week.
In
is it
Chilliwack?
actually scary?
Where is it?
Well, you know what? See, the corn maze really messed with me because it made me think that I'm a freak. Because no, seriously, I'm so desensitized. I'm this weirdo who loves horror movies. Like
Yeah.
every horror movie that comes out, I have to watch it.
Mhm.
And I want to get scared. So I was really excited. And it is scary. The people we were with were freaked out. And I could see it definitely being scary. And I'm like, can I go on the front? Like, I want to get scared.
Oh,
And everyone's
yeah,
like, yes, please.
yeah.
And like people are chasing me with chainsaws and like severed heads and stuff. And I'm like, hey, like it's just doesn't do it for me. I'm so
That's,
desensitized now.
Yeah,
My
I was gonna say, because like, I was gonna ask you, like, is it actually scary? But it's like, also it's like, it's fake and it's gonna come out, so it's like it's gonna be pretty hard to like get
It
you,
is
I guess.
it's better than a regular haunted house. It's really neat that you're actually outside under the moon. It's dark. It's already naturally foggy, not fog machines. And what they used to do, apparently, I didn't go to that one, is the actors would grab you and take you away from your group and hide you. So that I would have loved. And there was like a slide, there's hurdles you had to get over. So that would have been really fun.
They
But
have it's something they're starting to do in the States, or you're seeing more and more now, where they have like extreme haunted houses where like
yeah.
the actors are allowed to like contact you and even rough you up a little bit, like actually scare the shit out of you.
Wasn't there that one in the States where it's like you had to sign this huge waiver and they like
Yeah, it was like
waterboard you and
Yeah.
stuff?
like a
Yeah,
40-page
they feed
waiver
you
or something. Yeah.
cockroaches. And if you go through it successfully, they give you $20,000. Not a single person has.
Really?
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I mean, I could use $20,000, but I think as soon as they start, they're like, "We're gonna waterboard you." I'm like, "I'm out. Don't even
Oh,
start."
yeah.
It's like I knew you were going to do that coming into this, and I'm still.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I feel like this will be worse than the COVID test, and I heard that was horrible, so I'm out.
I didn't even know what that was till I watched Ozark and they waterboarded Ruth, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert! No, just
Sorry.
kidding. That's like from what, season 2 or season 3? Is
I
season
can't
3 out?
I binged them all. I watched them so like pretty much through COVID that I can't remember. It's all just a blur of like nachos and Slurpees and
Oh my god, I've been
Ozark.
watching so much Netflix. Like I said, I'm on my last Star Trek series, but yeah, I think I stalled out on Ozark halfway through season 2. I think I always have this problem where like I'll love a show so much and then I'll just like binge it and then I'll get sick of it and then I'll forget
Yeah.
where I was and then I'll be like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Seems like work finding
Just
out
give
where
up
I
on it
was.
forever.
Yeah, it's like losing
I
your
did
page in
that
a
with
book, so you
Better
throw it
Call
away.
Saul. Yeah, I did that. I did that with The Handmaid's Tale too. It was too much work to figure out where I left off. I'm like, screw it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like Handmaid's Tale's pretty. Well, I read the book when I was in college because some girl was like, "Oh, you like 1984 and A Brave New World? You want to read about a dystopian future?" I was like, "Yeah, I love those books. Those are my favorite." She's like, "You should read A Handmaid's Tale." And then I was reading it, and I just kept thinking, I think this would be scarier if I was a girl. Like, I feel like this is more of a dystopian future for women. And I'm like, I didn't want to be sexist or anything. But
Yeah,
I
as
was
a
like,
dude, you're like, this sounds awesome.
well, I wouldn't say that far, but so it's like I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember it's Margaret Atwood, so it's kind of boring and like it's very like she uses a lot of like description, let's say, and she's very dry, so it's like so that's what's holding me from watching that show.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't like Peggy in Mad Men. I thought she was like one of the more annoying characters.
Yeah.
But I imagine she's like a good enough actor that she's not just Peggy from Mad Men dressed as a handmaid.
Yeah, she was really good in The Invisible Man. Did you see that, the remake?
Oh no, I didn't.
I have
Yeah,
not yet. No.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I'm not a huge horror movie watcher, just mostly
Yeah,
because my girlfriend Andrea just hates all horror movie or all gore or violence. So it's like,
yeah, if you don't get to.
I mean, I'm okay not watching violence.
Yeah,
Like I like more like action and comedy, and like I can handle gore and I'll put up with it for like
yeah.
my favorite is when it's in like science fiction shows like The Boys, that show, how there's like a lot of gore in that and violence, but it's
Mm,
like kind of to supplement the narrative
yeah,
as opposed to just being gory to be gory.
yeah. Speaking of violence, I better sign off pretty quick here because my kids have choir early tomorrow, so we have to get them to bed, and I'm in her room.
Oh yeah, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
I think everybody's had enough of my awkward segues. So, oh,
That was great.
I just wanted to say, because we were talking about this corn maze, it is
Yeah,
in Abbotsford. It's Man's MAAN Farms in Abbotsford. Um, did they tell you how much it cost?
I
'Cause-
I think it was $26 a person,
oh,
or you could,
bargain.
yeah, or I think it was some 46 or something like that if you wanted to bypass the line. But it's a lot of fun, and it was COVID safe. All the actors wear masks. You have to wear a mask when you go in the corn maze.
Oh, that's good. So nobody can see that it's me who's screaming. They'll just see my face, be like,
Yeah, there you
Can
go.
you
And all
double
the
up?
actors
Can
kind of
you
has
wear?
like an outbreak sort of theme, so it goes with everybody wearing these masks, and it's neat because you
oh
go
yeah.
through. It takes quite a while, and there's all these different like scenes that come out. Like it is definitely scary if you're normal.
Just not if you're desensitized.
So,
Yeah.
oh, another question is it mazy? Because it's like thinking about getting lost in a corn maze. Like, even if there wasn't like a horror thing attributed to it, being in a corn maze at night is
Yeah.
almost scary enough. Like, am I going to
No,
get
it's very
lost?
straight. I was scared of that too. I'm like, I
Okay.
would totally get lost and end up in, no, it's like a one-way thing. Because they would have to
Okay.
do it that way with COVID too, or people would be like
Yeah.
all running
Oh,
into each
that's a
other.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one's gonna grab you. So it's probably your safest time to go is during COVID. 'Cause no one's
Yeah.
gonna touch you.
True.
My biggest fear would be getting lost and then getting hungry in the middle of the night
Or
in
having to pee.
Abbotsford.
I was
You're
scared. What
surrounded
if
by
you have
corn.
to pee and you're in there?
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
you're surrounded by corn. Just
Yeah.
pee on the corn, eat the corn.
There you go.
Why would you pee on the corn to eat it?
Nature's most absorbent grain, legume. I don't know what to classify it as. Anyway,
It's a grain.
everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Outrage Factory. Thanks very much to Kristyl for joining us. Kristyl, it was great having you on.
Thank you. It was a
I've
lot of
been
fun.
your. Oh wait, where can people find you on the internet if they would like to do so?
Yeah, just go to www.valleymom.ca.
Perfect, and it's
Oh,
all
I
there.
wanted to point out. Sorry, I was reading through your blog, and you do have that good like. Now that we might be going into second wave lockdown or whatever, you have a COVID bucket list, which people should check out because there's a lot of good suggestions of stuff to do on there. So go
Yeah.
check out Krystyl's blog for that.
Cool. And if you want to check out me, I'm on the internet. You can follow me on Twitter at Herder.
You can follow me on Twitter at SuperDalebot.
You can follow us on Twitter at Outrage Fact Pod or on Facebook where we actually live stream these episodes. So if you've ever wondered how handsome Dale and I are, you can find that out by heading on over and liking us on Facebook.
Or you can watch us on YouTube if you missed the live stream. Outrage Fact Pod on YouTube as well.
Cool. Thanks for listening. And until next week.
Stay angry.